All right, folks, here we go once again on the solo edition here on the podcast of the CJJC show. We're the Good Stuff Pod. We're still figuring out the name, it sounds like. But we are here. We're watching some college football. Been dealing with a little bit of the sickness that's been going around. You gotta love the fall change, but we are back in the saddle. And we're going to go in through some games here. Like we said, we're on Saturday, so that means we did catch some Thursday night football action. The Commanders going to the Eagles and everything. The Eagles handling business pretty well, 26-18. The game was actually a really close one until the fourth quarter when the Commanders made a oh my goodness, a fourth down decision call. And it just went south from there. And since they couldn't convert it, and Saquon Barkley is now getting all the MVP rumor talks that he rightfully deserves. However, um, it's a hard case this year to put in a skill position player against a quarterback. It is a very hard case. And we'll get into that as we go through this game slate. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple of quarterbacks going through some interesting games that are in that MVP discussion. And first, right off the bat, we're going to go ahead. Even though he threw five interceptions in one game, he still had an incredible five-game stretch. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Lions offense responds to, oh, wait, a Jacksonville defense at home. This game, I didn't expect this game to be just like the one that they had a couple weeks ago, where it just got completely out of hand against the Titans. I think that was the team where they just ended up scoring all the points through special teams. And Jared Goff can just, hand it off, and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery just does all the work. So easily can see this game. The Lions are 13 and a half point favorites. This really doesn't deserve much of a topic of highlight here. Besides the fact that, yeah, Jared Goff did have five interceptions last week, and maybe the fantasy run is over, or maybe he just got them all out the way now, and it's going to be another 3-4 game stretch of no interceptions. So maybe he's just trying to cook up something to balance out the stats and calm all the haters down. I don't know. Gotta be on the lookout for that. But right now, let's just hope that maybe it's just finally that he's coming back to earth. But that Jaguars defense, it is respectable. They did play the Vikings really well. They shut down Justin Jefferson. He didn't really have a much of a presence last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But in this case, the Lions just have so many more weapons probably compared to the Lions. I mean, compared to the Vikings. Um, it is, I mean, like I was mentioning, they got the running back duo. I'm not saying that the Vikings have a bad running back duo, but compared to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think Aaron Jones and I guess you can insert still here, whether that's Cam Akers or not, for the Minnesota Vikings. So that's just not as good and everything. Plus, the Lions got Amon Ra on top of that. They got there. I'm pretty sure Laporte is playing football. If not, the whole other skill position room that I'm forgetting the name right now is really solid as well. So I feel like the Lions just have a better chance of accessing those weapons against the Jaguars defense. But who knows? Maybe the Jags can play a respectable game here like they did against the Vikings. All right. Next game up, we're gonna go to the Packers at Bears. All right, this one is going to be pretty interesting here. I was a little hesitant just because of the whole offensive coordinator change. Usually some teams get a little spark from that. In this case, I don't see that kind of happening. I kind of lean that this game's probably going to be as expected. Disappointing for Chicago for sure to say that you have to go another year of the Packers beating you at home. Um, it's really hard to take in because you had a lot of hope going into this beginning of the season. And who knows, maybe that hope can turn back around. But right now, I just think that the Packers has a solid team and a solid unit all around. Um, and just the consistency that Matt LaFleur just brings them. I hate to say it, guys, it make me give me credit to a team that I hate to give credit to. But yeah, and as for the Bears, I mean, ever since that, it really is a very interesting topic of concern here when you consider the fact that the Bears are just spiraling ever since well, in their case, the fail Mary in their instance. So it's not going great for the Bears. They're a 5 point underdog. It's a lot of points to take on the Packers here, but Who knows? I'm going to take the risk here. I just trust the Packers a little bit more in this spot. Again, really hate to see it for the Bears. If I would love to be wrong here. I would love to be wrong. Let's just say that. Would love that for the Bears as well. All right, going to the next game here. We got the Rams at the Patriots. All right, so both the guys here put their locks on this game. They both went different directions. Colby took the Patriots and Christian took the Rams. So I don't know why this game just has a highlight in itself here. One person thinks it's easy money, the other person thinks it's also easy money for both teams here. So I'm going to do my best to cover both sides, it looks like. Um, I personally will go with the Patriots, though. Let me go ahead and get that out the way. I'm going to personally lean the Patriots just because. I think that there might be finally starting to get that consistent thing that I was talking about just now when it comes to the Packers. I feel like Jared Mayo is finally starting to wear in some identity. Still questionable about how I feel personally about calling your team soft. I mean, maybe that worked. Maybe that's how you want to run things, I guess. But just we'll see how that works going forward. Some guys might not take that as well mid-season now. So just tread lightly. That's all I can say. You may be a player coach, but you got to be make sure you got a good feel of your locker room. It's still your first year here, especially after coming after Belichick. Um, but back to the game itself, really. You got the Rams in an interesting spot. I personally can see them pulling this thing away. That's why the line's at 4.5. But personally, they can win this. But I feel like the Patriots and Drake May is just so fun right now and interesting that you don't know. You can't sleep on them anymore. We learned that last week. You no longer can sleep on the Patriots. So I'm gonna ride that trend as well and everything. That's the main reason here. As for the Rams, this is going to be a test for their defense, I feel like. We already know what we're getting from the offense again. So mainly just want to see how they're going to handle this gunslinging type of a quarterback here that of Drake May, who's now putting himself into the rookie quarterback conversation after having, what is a 6-5 game delay, I want to say. So yeah, give me the Patriots in an interesting game spotlight here on the podcast. It looks like I don't know why they chose that one. Not gonna lie. I don't know why. So the next one we got here is going to be one of the ones that I actually had a tough time going deciding, and it's one of the three gross ones as well that I had to highlight because it's going to be an interesting, tough game to choose here, but it's going to be a fun one, no doubt, for these two teams. It's the Browns going to New Orleans. Um, New Orleans are 1.5 point favorites, so this is a toss-up essentially. Um, I'm going with the Browns here. The reason why is they're coming off of a bye. It gets Kevin Stefanski finally getting his guy back, Nick Chubb. He's going to finally get a whole bye week to finally start game planning and get him more in cadence and stuff like that. So I just really like the feel that the Browns here are just going to come back a little bit more in rhythm. And it's just going to be a tougher spot when you're talking about a new coach trying to find that second win in a row. Yeah, you can ride a hot streak for sure, but like I said, usually you find that trying to find that second game very challenging. So, but I hate to be the Debbie Downer. I can see this game being a very fun one. Like I said, I was on the edge here. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Saints come back again. I mean, like I said, that was a thrilling win against the Falcons, a team that has weapons, has high expectations. And this is a Browns team that's just looking to find good footing, trying to make a respectable push for the end of the season. So, yeah, it's going to be, and both teams are pretty much in that same spotlight there. This is the part of where Colby might be trying to already start scrounging up who we're going to get for uh what's it called, the first round quarterback. That's what's going to end up happening. He's going to be saying who's going to be growing for that first round pick, what their futures are looking like here. Um, in my opinion, I would love to see both these teams make a move quarterback here, and just to spice things up in the organization. So, this could be an interesting game, draft implication wise as well. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's go ahead and get the other two gross ones out the way before we get to the two spicy ones, in my opinion. Well, not so spicy. I'm just being a little biased, of course, of one of them. But onwards anyways. We got the Colts at the Jets. The Jets are going to be 3.5 point favorites. It's been a little bit of a rough going, even with Devontae Adams now. So And the Colts aren't doing any better, not gonna lie. They're putting back in Anthony Richardson. I I would love to say that the Jets will go out here and have that easy win that they've been looking for to prove that maybe some of this, to make sure this Aaron Rodgers move was justifiable. But why do I just smell something that Shane Steichen, maybe he just set off something within Anthony Richardson? Maybe that will give him within those two. I don't see that there was much growth going on in 2 weeks, to be quite honest with you. I find that very not true. Not true. I don't know how much, especially, I mean, the main reason, let's be real, the main reason why they're making this switch was because they thought they would get better quarterback play out of Joe Flacco. They didn't. It was, if anything, maybe worse and everything. He wasn't as good. Even though he did play some tougher defenses during that stretch, it just wasn't pretty. So I just got to go with, I'm just going to go with a fun team here and the funner side of things. I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going to take the underdogs on the road, but if you ask me, I think it just spells complete. I think it's like I said, it just sounds more fun to believe in that maybe this not rookie quarterback, but this young quarterback finally got a spark lit within inside him, and he gets his offense maybe going for a game or two, and then we get more of a reality check once again. But I can definitely see him being a little bit more aggressive. Maybe he locks in a little bit more, and he has more upside, of course, and more front talent than whatever the Jets got going on. Don't get me wrong, the Jets do have a good team. They still have a great offense. It's just I don't know what's going on there. I just don't like something about it. Just I don't like anymore. Maybe it's because it just doesn't live up to, I have trusted him at the beginning, and trust has been beaten multiple times. So would love to pick the Jets here, to be quite honest with you. But I just can't trust them. I really don't, especially with 3.5 points. I definitely can see the Colts at least making this game way more interesting than it needs to be. So if you're asking me that, that's why I'm leaning on the Colts a little bit more. That's the true reason why. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. I mean, I have Brees Hall personally, so I would love to see Brees Hall have a great game, but let's be quite honest. They're playing against a Colts defense that has to practice against a guy named Jonathan Taylor all the time. They're probably going to be expecting every Brees Hall play coming. So it's going to be a tough spot, and it's going to be an interesting game to see Devontae Adams go off against with this Colts defense. Maybe they're going to be a little bit less prepared for that, but outside of that, man, I gotta go with the Colts, man. To be quite honest. All right. And then the last gross game here that I'm calling at least gross, and this was also a tough one for me to pick. It's the Raiders going to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins being 7-point home favorites. It's a lot of points for the Dolphins that are still kind of trying to find their way to get back into this, like, I don't know, looking like the Dolphins that we know. Um, Maybe I just didn't watch enough of that last game because it looked like it was still on and off. One quarter, it was they're having this classic offense, 100 yards, 10 points. I'm pretty sure like they're scoring, they're doing what we're used to seeing from last season. And then the second quarter, they get what was it like less than 50 yards or something like that. Um, so there's still some things, some wrinkles that they need to iron out there for the Dolphins. And the reason why that I'm taking the Raiders here and the points is because I just feel like when those Dolphins are trying to figure out those wrinkles, that might be I feel like Antonio Pierce is going to be having this team on, and I feel like the Raiders are going to find good chances to seize that moment. Um, yeah, as I'd say, I feel like that's what this game's going to be really coming down to. It's going to be like, oh man, the Dolphins are really putting this thing away. They're up. They're probably going to do what they did last time. They're going to be having a good lead at the beginning. Because let's be honest, it's still the Raiders. They're going to probably have a good lead at the start, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, and the Raiders scored a touchdown and everything, while the Dolphins are sputtering out for a little bit, make this game a little interesting, and then the Dolphins score, go on a little bit of a scoring run again. But oh, here comes the Raiders. You know, Dolphins turn it over. Raiders score off a turnover. And then this game's back into being interesting again, just because Dolphins are kicking field goals or something like that. They can't finish drives. And then Raiders are just seizing the opportunity. So I just feel like that is going to be a trend in this game. It's going to be a lot of Dolphins doing good. And then when they start sputtering, it's going to be Raiders time, and they're going to just start taking, they're going to actually seize the moment. And it's just a lot of points because I feel like those moments are going to happen a lot in this game, especially when you have a defensive line like the Raiders do. All right, two 1 o'clock games left. And they're obviously going to be the two that we love talking about the most, about the teams that we love talking about the most here. So I'm going to talk about the one that everyone already doesn't have a pick for, and it's going to be obviously my Vikings at Titans. The Titans are 5-point home underdogs. I want to give the Titans a good shout out here because I feel like they might make their defense might still make this a challenge, um, despite whatever offense and quarterback mistakes have been made. They are still a respectful defense. They're trying to make these games interesting, at least in the first half. So I personally am looking forward to seeing how this game goes in the second half. It's going to be more of a second half game. How will Sam Darnold adjust and everything like that? The Vikings, man, I just really last week was a little very concerning. I am very concerned with a lot of my teams right now. We were doing really good, and now they were showing a lot of moments of concern as we're getting closer to the postseason. Um, Especially when it comes to the Vikings right now. Some people are saying we're starting to see that pumpkin moment. I can kind of see it as well because those that was very deflating. Not all those having so many yards and not being able to punch it into the red zone was very interesting and very deflating each time. So yeah, it is very concerning about the pumpkin moment, of course, but at the same time, the formula and recipe at the end of the day has to stay true to what it is, has been this whole time, and that is you just gotta trust KOC, Kevin O'Connell. I mean, and Brian Flores. You cannot obviously dismiss Brian Flores. He's a huge contributor piece to this puzzle. So yeah, I really got to say it's more of the coaching side of things. The Vikings defense has been really good. I feel like that's going to be the main point of attack here is the main reason why they're saying Vikings are going to probably have this one put away. Will Levis will probably have some moments. Don't get me wrong. He's probably if he has moments in this game, I wouldn't be surprised because that's probably how the Vikings defense is going to draw it up is where they're going to just send it all to the house, keep this young quarterback a little shaken up and everything, try and make him, unrattled a little bit. And then, of course, he's going to just probably uncork one to Calvin Ridley, of all people, the guy, one of the guys that had him last season. So, of all people, they're going to throw it on Calvin Ridley. And yeah, I'm just going to be the guy that's spiraling out of control. So, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings. That's probably a fear. If it's someone ever hears this take and that actually does happen, I might actually have to Ernie Johnson that right now because I did not get, you know what? I did not get a dues list this time. So I guess that's one of my dues right there. Calvin Ridley. I'm gonna have to write that in. But yeah, give me the Vikings. Honestly, can you have an easy cop out as well if you want to say Justin Jefferson is due for this one as well. But like I said, Titans defense being very respectable, I would just pause for a quick second. Yeah, it sounds like easy money. Just have a little hesitation just because, like I said, that Sam Darnold pumpkin thing, it might be true. And you got to be careful when that happens because if it is true, maybe Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones in that case as well isn't enough for Sam Darnold to start scoring touchdowns. Starting then we get to have the fun question of what would JJ do? That's the fun thing. What would JJ do? But that's gonna be a conversation for next season. I can't wait. I can't wait for that. All right. And then of course the last 1 o'clock game here, guys. It's going to be, man, an AFC North classic. One of the people pretty much always say it now, especially given the history of recent. It's going to be the Ravens going to the Steelers, folks. I mean, this is the most hard-hitting NFL football game that we're going to see, probably leading up until the next time they see each other. This is at Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock. Should be in the prime time slot. I mean, I hate to say it, they chose the wrong week to flex a fucking Sunday night football game. They had all these other chances, and this is one of them. I mean, look, you get Burrow versus Herbo. We'll talk about that later, but their teams aren't as fun right now compared to this one. Well, probably wouldn't have been as QB centric and spotlight moment. I won't lie. It won't be as glamorous as the other games. No, this is probably going to be another slugfest. But this time around, I think the Ravens are a little bit more prepared and dressed for this slugfest. Of course, when I say that though, the two AFC North respondents came on here and shared their takes about how this rivalry always goes down. And surprisingly, they both went with the Steelers, and I'm the only one with the Ravens. So once again, I don't have a feel for what the division is feeling like, but I feel like I have a good grip on the situation this time around. Reason why, Derrick Henry. I feel like he's going to have an interesting, very interesting role to play in this game. We already know Lamar. I hate the fact that he's questionable on my fantasy football. I don't want to believe it. I really don't. If not, I need to be on the lookout for a quarterback ASAP. But yeah, back to the like I Derrick Henry's going to have a game here, folks. JJ Watt, TJ Watt is a beast. Don't get me wrong. The Steelers are playing incredible football, very sound on both sides of the ball, um, very consistently strong. Only thing here is how many of those explosive plays will the Steelers be able to pull off against the Ravens here? Ravens defense has not been the best against the pass at all. They've been getting cooked, and it's been one of their Achilles heel, essentially. That's the only reason why a lot of these games are close when they need to be, is because teams air it out and they actually get to pull it off, and this game continues to be interesting. So you have to be careful when you're talking about the Ravens here and this chance and everything. But I feel like this is also a little bit of a line in the sand game here. Will the Steelers be able to cross that line in the sand and be considered a true and through contender, in my opinion? Yeah, they had a lot of big games, big wins. Give me one more. And I think this is the one. I mean, this is the one that you can really put the Ravens behind you for a little bit, for a couple weeks here. Um, and you really, especially for Mike Tomlin, you would really set the tone going in through for probably the remainder of the season. So really have to be in an interesting spot here if you're in the Steelers and how you feel about this game, because this has to be a line in the sand game. A real true, can we get into the other side of things here, of the other side of contention here, and actually be considered into those 1C, 2C talks. As for the Ravens, like I said, they have everything on the offensive side. Run game wise, I do not see any. I feel like this could be a rough game for the receivers. So that's why I'm saying Derrick Henry is going to have a huge and important role to have here in this game. So I would be more surprised if the Baltimore receivers were actually able to get over 200 yards. That would be incredible against the Steelers defense. But would be more expecting both Lamar and Derrick Henry to do a lot of the heavy lifting for this game. Who do I have to win it? Obviously, I'm going with the Ravens because they have 3-point favorites. So there you go. I don't know if Christian's thinking the same way, where it's just like Ravens come out of it, but it's just a really close game, or he just thinks maybe the Steelers might actually pull this one off. It would be a very interesting take to see as we go into the 4 o'clock slot. All right, 4 o'clock transition and 4 o'clock games have wrapped up here in college football. We got the Tennessee and Georgia game on now. Tennessee is up 7-0. As a Texas guy, would love to see Georgia lose this game, and that'd be the end of their playoff chances. So let's go Tennessee and old Rocky Top, right? Anyways, we got the 4 o'clock games here. I don't know how I feel about some of these. Obviously, there's the game of the week, but the other two are very interesting as well in their own regard. Let's go ahead and start with one that people already look like it's going to be a blowout, but I kind of like to beg to differ. It's going to be Seattle at the 49ers. 49ers 6.5 point favorites. Maybe it's because of the fact that they get another week with Christian McCaffrey. He's getting a lot back into the swing of things. They're going to be at home. Yeah, sure. I get it. Seattle plays pretty aggressive, pretty well-respected football. I kind of like the spot here with that many points with Seattle, 6.5 points there. We saw the Bucks with a depleted Baker Mayfield team actually give you a run for your money. I think Geno Smith is going to have the same type of fuel and passion there to give you guys a run for your money as well. Almost the same play style a little bit as well. Would like to argue almost a little bit of the same play style, but just in his case, a little bit more punishment than reward. So hopefully he gets a little bit more of the benefits here in this game. Do I expect Seattle to win? No. I think that's going to be just almost what we saw last week with the Bucks, where it's just going to be a very hard-fought game to the end here. So give me Seattle, give me this and everything, and the 6 points that they have helping them out. All right. And then to the next game as well, got Falcons at Denver. This one's a very, very fun and interesting game. Of course, I get to talk about the Colorado team, a Denver team here. Uh, and they are 1.5 point favorites against the Falcons. Crazy to think about that the Broncos here in a respected light. They are coming off of a loss, heartbreaking loss against the Chiefs. Blocked field goal attempt that probably could have been the end of, actually would have been the end of the Chiefs' undefeated season. So depending on how you feel and how you chop it up, the Broncos can be in a very big spot here to really put a clamp on whether or not they are actual playoff contender as well with the rookie quarterback, Rabo Nix, who I might have been completely wrong on. So shout out to Sean Payton, man. I mean, goodness gracious, he's actually making this team. He's keeping it simple. He's really keeping it simple. Every player is playing very well in their roles, exceedingly well. Um, their best player is obviously Pat Surtain. It's a corner, but in this case, that's a good thing because you're going to shut down one of Kirk Cousins' top receivers. You're going to give him a hard trouble. You're going to give him a rough time, especially there up there in Mile High. So I really do like the spot that Denver's in here. 1.5 point favorites is very interesting, but just that's a toss up. That means if you believe that they can win this game, pick them. Uh, can also see the other side of this though, where Denver doesn't show up and it's just heartbreak USA because they couldn't win that big game last week and the momentum is still in their minds. They still are in their heads about what happened and it's just going to be a rough showing for the Denver Broncos. So I'll keep that in mind as that is probably more of a slim chance of what to happen. But I'm going to see the Broncos play a hard-fought game. This could be a very close one, I feel like. Would be very interesting to see how this game is going to be played. Well, whether or not their quarterbacks are going to throw it or not. I would I would be very, very, very surprised if again the receiving core here goes off for either team just because of how the Denver defense is and how the Denver offense is ran. So yeah, give me Denver in a hard-fought game. And then, of course, in the game of the week, before we even get into the primetime slots themselves, two quarterbacks really, even though we forgot about the MVP discussion, but we already know Lamar probably is sick of being in it. This game has one quarterback that justifiably can be in the MVP discussion after losing his number one wideout. It's going to be Josh Allen hosting the Chiefs as the Bills are 2.5 point favorites at home. Um, Big spotlight here. I always say it in the group chat, just in fantasy football terms, but this is going to be very well implied here for this game as well. And that is when it matters. Does this matter for the Bills here? Probably not. Let's be real. They'll probably win this and they're going to end the undefeated streak for the Chiefs. Um, who knows? They might not even steal the 1 seed from them. I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose it. They might not end up losing another game because of this. This might be more of an emotional, hard fought game for the Chiefs. I mean, for the Bills than it is for the Chiefs. Um, yeah, I just don't think it's gonna. I mean, I don't even know if it's gonna have much of an implication for the playoff push. And they might be a game behind the Chiefs the entire way through still. Uh, you're gonna have to still anticipate the Chiefs to lose another game. So congratulations, I guess, to the Bills. If you win this game, I'm picking the Bills to win just because I just don't see I see them showing up for this game because they have more. They think they're gonna probably have more on the line emotionally to win this one, especially being at Buffalo. And the next matchup is most likely going to be at Kansas City. So let's just say this, Buffalo, go ahead and win this game, but please don't get in your heads and make sure you take notes on this Chiefs team because goodness gracious, if you can't beat them in the playoffs, it's going to be a rough pill to swallow, especially with all the new additions that you have. So, and especially with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is having an incredible season compared to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, yeah, Mahomes is winning games, but he's having an incredible defense built around him. It's probably the reason why both of the guys actually picked the Chiefs. So they're probably going to be more lenient onto the defensive side of things. Surprise, surprise. I'm the guy that's going to pick on the offensive side of things for the Bills here. Um, just wouldn't be, yeah, wouldn't be, I wouldn't be surprised the Bills to win this one, but the Chiefs just wins the one that matters in the playoffs. So go ahead, Bills. Make sure you go out and handle business because if you don't win this one, I really don't definitely don't see anybody trying to steal the one seed from the Ravens because everyone else is going to be hitting each other up. The only other team that might beat them might be an AFC West opponent. You got to bet on the Chargers and Broncos, and the oddity that is the Raiders. So it's gonna be an interesting layout for the AFC, depending on who wins this game here. Because yeah, if the Chiefs win it, most likely can go ahead and lock up that one seed and go ahead and pretty much decide from there who is going to be the teams to fill out the rest of the AFC playoff bracket and who wants to address what's going to be the best way to contend against the Chiefs. If I'm being completely honest, when do you want to see the Chiefs? Do you want to see them in the AFC title game or off of a bye and everything? So it's gonna be a tough going in the AFC if they win this game. So a lot on the line for the Bills emotionally and probably for the fans as well for the AFC football. All right. And the last two, believe it or not, are all going to have implications in the AFC. This one's probably more or less a survival put away game, depending on where you sit here. Not for the Chargers, but for the Bengals, especially as they're going to LA as 1.5 point underdogs. Would usually say that the Chargers are home favorites, but as everyone knows, playing a game in LA, the other team usually can find a respectable home fan appearance. However, this is the Bengals. I don't know how many fans are really going to be there. Maybe they're more Burrow fans than they are Bengal fans. That's a topic for another day. Surprisingly, Christian takes the Bengals here. I don't know what has come across him, but I'm going to be taking the Chargers. I think hardball defense here again. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit different than what they saw here in Baltimore. So the Bengals have to play another hardball defense. He's definitely gonna have notes and everything ready for Jamar Chase. Can they contain Jamar Chase? Will be a different story. We'll see how that all comes to fruition, of course, here on Sunday night. But for the Chargers, I feel like I said mentioned earlier, for Herbo and Burrow, this is going to be a very fun quarterback matchup. This is why they probably didn't flex it. These two quarterbacks can still put up big numbers, especially in Herbert's case. Yes, he's still trying to figure out the receiving core, I guess, in this instance. Still trying to figure out who is the number one. Maybe it's starting to shape into Lad McConkey, but at the same time, who is it? Like, come on. Is it Quentin Johnston who got the late touchdown? Probably not. I'm just trying to throw him in there for fantasy purposes. But at the same time, also would love to see the Charger offense be a little bit more fun than just running the football and having a strong run game. Again, the Bengals have already seen that the week prior with a hardball team. So that'll give them a little bit of an edge. I feel like that's probably what Christian's leaning here is that they're probably going to see it twice. Well, so far you're going to act like the brothers aren't going to share information against the rival team. Come on now. So go ahead, maybe I'm giving the Hardballs another win against the Bengals here. Especially in a toss-up situation. I would love to see Herbert put away Burrow season. I feel like that this would be it. This is the put away game. So if the Bengals pull this off, they'll be again a fringe team for another week or two. And if not, it's over. It's Jover. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who they can play spoiler against and where they're going to end up start falling in the draft implication of things. All right. In the last game here, Battle of Texas. It's going to be the Texans going to the Cowboys. This game has no real fun whatsoever. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and just get this one pretty much out the way. No Dak Prescott, of course. Cooper Rush is in for this game. Maybe it'll be Trey Lance by Monday. Maybe the Cowboys make a sudden switch because why not at this point? But at the same time, I don't see that happening. CJ Stroud, maybe they get Nico Collins back for the Texans and everything like that. It's just been a rough going, man, for the Texans this season. They were a playoff expecting team, but now they're starting to fall back to the AFC South tendency of things. They win this game, maybe they can clean up some things, get right, and then make a little bit more of a better push here in the next couple of weeks. So taking the Texans, it's a lot of points. A lot of points. 7.5 points. It's a lot, especially on the road in a game where it has more probably emotional implication as well because it's the Battle of Texas. Not a real rivalry, but can still be considered one if you think about it. So yeah, give me the Texans. That is the week 11 slate there. I did mention everyone's locks as well. So just as a quick rundown and everything, we got Colby. He's got the Packers and everything. Packers 5.5 point favorites. I don't blame him. I would have put the Packers as well. Um, he also has the Chiefs as well and the Steelers. So interesting spot here for him. He's got the Packers, Steelers, and Chiefs. Christian, he's got the Rams. We'll give him that one. And then he's got, I guess I'm gonna have to give him the Falcons, of course, and the Vikings. We'll go Rams, Vikings, and Falcons here. Let me double check that because he did send an order for them. Gotta love it when the guys at least do that part, right? Um, let's see. Yes, it was the Rams, Vikings, and Falcons. So those are his three and everything, not the Rams and everything. So I'll go ahead. And then the Rams were just his backup pick. Rams, Vikings, and Falcons. I'm just spiraling right now in a circle, going crazy. But anyways, my three picks are going to be, oh man, it's a lot of points. Give me the Lions. I feel like that's the easiest move here. Give me the Lions. Um, Afterwards, I'm gonna go ahead. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills as a lock. Like I said, I feel like they're gonna win this one, the one that doesn't matter and everything, but probably matters most to NFL fans and to just to break the win streak, of course. And as my final pick, ooh, do I want to challenge the guys here? In this case, it's more or less going to be Christian because I think I have the same picks as Colby. Oh wait, no, I challenged Colby with the Chiefs. Hmm, I just don't think it's worth putting money down that Anthony Richardson will still have that spark, or else I would have him in this spotlight. I would love to put them down. Same thing with the Patriots and Drake May. I just don't want to put my money on the Browns either, guys. This is a tough spot, tough spot. Really don't trust, definitely not trusting the Geno Smith, Seattle Seahawks. I mean, that's a fine line there. I would love to see them do what Baker did, but at the same time, don't know. Don't know at the end of the day. Same thing with the Chargers. I just don't know if they will end up covering Jamar Chase like that to put him down as a lock. Crap. All right, folks. After a good consideration here, I'm gonna go with the Browns. I'm gonna go with the Browns here off of a bye week. I'm gonna take the Browns off of a bye. Um, and that will be the end of the NFL slate. Oh, wait, gotta cook up the dues list here out of nowhere as well. So I did mention Calvin Ridley. I wrote that down at least. Um, I would love to see a Nick Chubb touchdown. Feel like that one would be, like I said, the Browns coming back with off of a bye. I feel like Nick Chubb would be a perfect bounce back for the Browns and get back in rhythm. Um, and for my last one, man, I can't go back to the same game. Let's go. It has to be a do. Someone that I haven't heard score in a minute. Is Keon Coleman injured? I'm leaning that he might be out. Mm, I don't think T. Higgins is playing. Man, this is a tough spot. I can see why Christian does struggle with this. Lions got so many players. One of them are going to score. I mean, that's just the easy part of things here. They're definitely going to have somebody score. Yeah, why not? Let's go with we can just pick a running back, right? I don't think which running back didn't score last week. Was it Gibbs or Montgomery? Again, just pick whichever one, right? I'm gonna go with Gibbs, man. Let's do two running backs and a wide receiver. I mean, that's pretty much how my fantasy team is. I mean, bunch of running backs and some questionable receivers. Wouldn't be surprised if I get burned by Calvin Ridley on this dues list, as it is my first one, and he just so happens to grace it. So there you go, folks. Of course, now I have to come up with everyone's favorite segment, final thoughts. And this one actually comes very easily to my mind here. But none of the guys actually get a chance to lay down a couple final thoughts. One of them being Texas playing today. Very slow start. Questionable Quinn I mean, we're here, we're talking about a top three team with expectations. And you know who showed up with those expectations? The defense. I mean, the Texas defense has just been amazing, outstanding, whichever one you want to put down with the word A in it. It's been awesome. I really do think that I really do think that they deserve that position, to be quite honest with you. I'll see why people were complaining too much. Maybe they just don't, maybe like I said in the chat, maybe maybe people are just not ready to admit the fact that Texas is the SEC favorite, and I'm just got to start getting used to that. Um, I don't think that's going to change personally. It's going to be a big week against yeah, they got a big game against Texas A&M. I don't think it's next week, but they got it coming up. And when that game happens, all eyes are all going to be on Texas because everyone's going to be hoping and expecting them. If they lose that, they're going to be hoping for them to lose that game. And I personally just think that if they make the SEC championship, I'm going to have a field day myself because it's our first year in and we're doing pretty good, unlike our Oklahoma friends there. So, very excited. Obviously, listen, can't forget about Colorado as well. I'm going to stand here and say I was wrong. No, I'll admit it. I was wrong. But I was also right in this regard. If you leave Colorado alone and, they maybe take the glitz and glamour away from them, they actually might be a good football team. And sure enough, they got some time. They got away from the camera spotlight for a little bit, it seemed like. Looks like the media actually died down a little bit on them. And here they are. Now the media is all of a sudden right back on them. They're making this incredible playoff push. Um, everyone says fate's in their own hands. They played a great game today, wrapping up forgot who they played actually in the Big 12. They did have a good fourth quarter wrap up there. So shout out Colorado and the Buffs, and that's my college football side of things. Obviously, I'm watching Tennessee, Georgia, hoping for Georgia to lose for the sake of Texas because they're probably the one team that'll give our offensive line nightmares. Um, and then back to another issue, the team that is on my head right now, literally as the form of a hat, the Timberwolves. Look, I really wish I had Colby here to help me talk about these dang Wolves. It has been heartbreaking already. It has been hard. It's been so inconsistent. I just don't know what else to really say about them. Nothing really positive yet, to be quite honest with you. They came out of an overtime game against the Kings. The win seemed to be a little bit challenging. And then, more importantly, they're just losing bad games. I mean, losing to the Spurs, back-to-back games against the Blazers. It's just what is going on, man? This is not the expectations you need. You have to have higher bars and everything and lower floors when you're at this team and the expectations that you have. So I really do expect the Wolves to turn it around in the regards of they maybe need to make some more better, I don't know, rotations, in my opinion. Maybe get some more Rob Dillingham involved. We've seen a lot of the fan base, at least in my opinion, what I've seen online is a lot of people are talking about Rob Dillingham and how he should be getting some more attention. Wouldn't disagree there. I would love to see Rob Dillingham get some more playing time and especially just get some more fresh legs and just maybe some different shots, you know? I feel like that's what we really need. Somebody else to help out with the offense because I'm not, like I said, I'm not the basketball guy, but even I can tell that this is just not as smooth, you know? Yeah, Cat was an amazing offensive scorer and we didn't have the best defenses, but Shoot, he made up for it. I felt like he was starting to make up for it personally. Like whenever Anthony Edwards got on him, I feel like he was starting to actually buy into that. So I thought the Wolves maybe they just needed to wait a little bit more time. And as for Anthony Edwards, he's having some big nights in MSG. So shout out Cat. And we'll see how he does for the Knicks as I'm pretty sure they might be good guaranteed teams as well for the East. I haven't paid as much attention to them, but more distraught about my Wolves and everything like that and everything. So yeah, hopefully the Wolves turn it around. Besides that, football side of things have been pretty good. Some good stuff, right, folks? Yeah, it was right.